Hey, welcome back to the 4x2 Wagon family. Just want to say thank you guys for being here. Now, can you guys believe it? This is a 13-year-old Range Rover L322, and this thing cost $126,665 brand new. Now, the reason for the big sticker price is because this is an autobiography. The autobiography just itself, the package costs $30,995. Is this something that you would buy or take a risk on? Because Rovers have this bad rap for not being reliable. I do apologize in advance. This video is going to be kind of long, and I'll do my best to keep it as short as possible, but I really want to give you guys a real deep, in-depth review and look at this car carefully, because this is going to be I think my last time doing a video for this Range Rover, because I don't know if you can see in the camera, this was a hit and run, and the whole side is all dented up. And so I got a feeling that the insurance company is going to total this thing. Now the question is, should I just buy it back from the insurance company and keep the rest of the money and do whatever with it? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. So I'll get through that in just a little bit. So that being said, I'm going to try and break this video up into different sections. We're going to talk about the outside, the inside, all the buttons. So at the end of the video, I'm going to share with you guys a couple of my favorite things about the Range Rover and not so great things. And then share with you guys my thoughts on whether or not you should buy an L322 here in 2024. So let's get started. All right, so let's just take a quick walk around this Range Rover here. Now, one of the things I love about the 2012, from 11 to 13, they had a little bit of different body style. Now, this is an autobiography, and you've probably seen a lot of the L322s. The bumper kind of angles off like this, so that gives you a little better, departure and approach angles on both front and the rear. And it has this fancy grille in the front. So if you guys see this type of grille below the bumper, you'll know this is the autobiography right there. And I think this looks so beautiful. And I love all these LED lights throughout. This does have a 360-degree camera, and these are on a 20-inch wheels. Now, let's talk about the wheels real quick. Originally, when I bought this, I really wanted to set this up as an overlander, but the problem is this is such a big wheel, I couldn't fit a big tire on here, and I couldn't go to a smaller wheel because it has these Brembo, this Range Rover, big calipers. There's no way like a 19 or 18-inch wheel was going to fit over those calipers. So if you have these big Brembo kind of style calipers, you can't go anything less than a 20-inch, so they can clear that caliper. But with those big calipers, boy, this heavy truck can stop on a dime very easily. I like the fact that there's no keyholes on here. And the paint is just gorgeous. And this is again a 2012 Range Rover, and it's really hard to tell that this is a 2012 because it's been well kept. And we're gonna walk around the back here. These are all LED lights in the back. And you can see the autobiography badge. It's got rear sensors. Now the back here, I took this whole trim off down here because every time I tow, and I tow a lot during the summertime, or jet ski, or trailer, putting a receiver on this thing is a real pain in the butt. So I just decided to take it off and leave it off until at some point, if I decide to sell it, I'll put it back on. So it's missing a trim right now. But the exhaust looks really nice. And speaking of exhaust, this thing sounds like a beast. And as we go back here in the rear bumper, the non-autobiography has a little cutout on an angle on the rear bumper like this, so that it has a little better departure angle. So again, you get a little bit of a fatter bumper on these autobiographies, which I like but don't like, because look, if you step back from the camera here, look at the line between the rear bumper and the front bumper. It just looks so clean, looks beautiful. And by the way, you can see pretty clearly where I was telling you about that this car was hit at Home Depot parking lot. Beautiful. And also the 2011 to 13, has this different headlight configurations, and these are LEDs and these are beautiful. And it has this fancy grille right here, and this is the Autobiography grille. So if you guys see this configuration right there, you'll know that is the Autobiography. And also you can look at the rear bumper as well. If it's angled, if it's cut on an angle, you know that's not Autobiography. All right, let's start from the front here. So let's start from the door. So the Autobiography package gets you a leather door panel, leather dash. All this is leather, everything is leather, and the ceiling is all leather. These are pretty thick, heavy duty leather. It's not real skinny, cheap kind. It's very thick, and there's absolutely no rips, stains, or it's not coming off the ceiling. It's held up so nice. Okay, and this has a really nice Logic 7 HD speakers, and this thing sounds like a studio, recording studio. It is absolutely amazing. At nighttime, all these handles have LED lights in here, so it lights up a light glow, which is really nice. The seats have all these adjustments, and the carpet. These carpets reminds me of like my grandma's house with these brown carpets, but these carpets are so thick. I don't mean by shaggy, they're very nice. And I love this brown because one, you can't see the stain, and this thing looks absolutely perfect in here. And again, I would love to share with us your car that's over 13 years in this good of condition. We have fog lights for the front and fog lights for the rear, and we have auto headlights, and we have steering wheel telescope adjustments. Comes out, comes back in. It can go up and down. Okay, and you can set all that from your seat right here. You can program up to 3 memories, and when you push that button, the steering wheel, the seats, all that adjusts. So it's pretty cool. Okay, so when you open the door, you get this beautiful, I don't know, it looks like space, like it's the earth, like the earth, and this black is the space. You know, like, I don't know. What do you guys think that is? That could be a horizon, I'm not really sure, but it's pretty cool. That lights up when you get in. You have all your radio controls here, your cruise controls is here, and this has a dynamic cruise control, so once you set it, it'll auto adjust the speed. And has your phone stuff here, and you know, volume switches. And one thing I love about this right here is that this steering wheel is kind of a triangular shaped, so when you hold on to it, it feels really good. It's nice and fat, nice and big. I love that. And it has a heated steering wheel. It's right here. And this whole thing just heats up nice, especially in the wintertime. It's beautiful. It's just really nice. I love these horn switches right here. It took me a while to get used to it because you want to like push here, but you got to remember to push these little silver things to honk the horn. And look how well this leather held up here. Absolutely no scratches, blemishes at all, including this entire steering wheel. And a little further up here is the leather dash, and look at this. It's just absolutely gorgeous. It's a push button start. Let me push my seat back a little bit here. It's got navigation. Let me just go ahead and turn this on real quick. 6 CD and let me close the door here. And it's a 6-disc DVD player. So you can actually watch DVD while you're driving in the front and also in the back. And again, this thing has one of the best sound system I have ever heard in my life. I've had, you know, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 stereo system in my cars, and this thing compares nothing to those $7,000 stereos. This is quite amazing. It's got all kinds of vents up here, and one of the things that I still can't really figure out is the AC system right here. It's kind of cumbersome, and I'll get back to that towards the end of my video and give you guys my thoughts on this. Okay, and it's got a dual glove box, and this is where your CD is stored in there. All my receipts, and then this is the lower glove box, and it's nice. It's got like this velvet lining on the inside everywhere. You don't see any plastic. The plastic is covered up by all these velvets. It's super plush, and look how well these walnut trim held up. And again, this is all leather. You can kind of see the wrinkle here as they bend the leather around this curve. It's just beautiful, and with all the leather in here, it makes the Rover extremely quiet. You can be driving down a highway, you don't hear anything other than your engine noise, but as cars are passing you, you don't hear nothing. It's super, super quiet. Okay, and we have our train response system right here. I love this one because this particular Autobiography, all Autobiographies come with a lock-in rear differentials. Now, if you guys are looking to buy one of these Range Rovers or even a LR4s, I highly recommend getting one with a rear lock-in differential. You don't have to get an Autobiography to get a rear lock-in differential, but what you can do to check to see if they got a lock-in rear differential is you can crawl under the rig and check the rear differential. On the top there'll be electric motor, and that is your locker. Or you can get the VIN number and call the dealership, like the parts department, and give them the VIN number, and they can check whether or not that particular Range Rover has a lock-in rear diff. Okay, it's got electric parking, couple of cup holders here, and it's nice to hit it with this little cover. And look at the leather on the shifter and the condition of the leather boot. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely no blemish. This is a old school cigarette deal, which nobody's ever used, but it's there. I'm not really too fond of this particular center console. It's not a whole lot of room. Just enough for my remote. And then this thing is not, there's not a whole lot of room in here either, other than to keep your iPod. And this is where you control if you got an old iPod. That's where I run my iPod through here, and my phone charger. And it's got these infinity adjustment armrest, and these are leather. Again, it's just really nice and plush and very comfortable. Okay, let's take a look at the driver's seat, because this one gets used the most here. And you can see that, let's start from the top here. And these are remote, these are power, they go up and down, which is kind of cool. And look at the leather condition. Okay, that's just a sun reflection. Just beautiful, held up so nice. And this is one thing I look for when I'm looking for a used car. I want to make sure that the seat is not torn up. You can tell a lot about a used car by the condition of the steering wheel and the seats and the carpet. These three things. So what I'm trying to say is, if you guys are looking to buy a used car, I would highly recommend walking away. If the seats, steering wheel, and the carpet is all messed up, walk away, because you're probably buying from somebody who didn't really take care of the vehicle. Just saying. Okay, it's got a nice walnut trim right there, and a nice Range Rover a Land Rover badge. Nice deep leather pockets through here. These buttons looks kind of outdated, but they're functional. You can push this button, and that will lower the car. And your mirrors. And when you lock the doors, the mirrors do come in automatically. Oh, let's go back to the door here. Listen to the sound. The door is, when you open a door on the Range Rover, you know you're opening a Range Rover door, because it's really heavy. Okay, so I got the car running so that we can operate these buttons here. It has, in the rear, has AC heat and heat. and then you control the upper back or lower section of the seat. One thing I like about this here is that you can actually push the front seat forward, okay, or back, and it has a lumbar support, okay, and it's got electric recliner right here. So let's move it up. You can see it. Now back down. How sweet is that? Okay. Now let's look at the leather back here. Again, it's just like the front seat, but obviously a lot better condition because nobody sits back here. It's just phenomenal. Oh, cigarette lighter. Okay. Again, all these door handles lights up. These headrest comes up, DVD player. It's got a separate climate control for the back. Pretty fancy, love it. Okay, let me show you guys a couple other things here. It does come with, this is where you can control your DVD, the system from the back here, your DVD. So my kid loves this thing. It's got this really cool, what do you call these, vanity lights or beauty light things? And look at this leather, it's just plush. The seats comes forward pretty easily. There you go. Let me move the seat forward a little bit here. Okay, so the seats comes forward super easy. You just pull up and it locks into place just like that. And then to get it back down, oh, look at this carpet right here. Again, like I was saying, that's brown carpet. I really love it. So easy to maintain and clean. It's a little bit dirty here for my kids. And then when you want to put it down, you just push this down and push the seat back. So it makes it really easy to get in and out if you need to get back there. So all Range Rovers come with a sunroof, sunglass holder, light switches, and one side is this, feels like velvet, super smooth, and it's got a dual visor. I actually didn't know that. Never had to use it. And the other side is leather. So leather and velvet. And look at this. This also has, so just look at this trim right here. This is black thing right here, that's velvet. It's just a nice way to cover the rubber gasket along the edges here. And you can tell a lot by a car just looking at the inside of their wheel well, of the door trim here. If it's all grimy and yucky, you can tell they don't really take care of it. You can see, look at this. There's no scuff or scratches on here. It's in perfect condition. On the Autobiography step, very nice. All the moldings is in perfect condition. Okay, let's go to the back. All right, so I want to share with you guys a couple things here about this Range Rover. Now, I'm making it appear like there's no issues with this Range Rover. Now, what this book here is my receipts. And I tell you what, whoever you're buying it from, you want to make sure they have maintained their Range Rover with full receipts. If they don't have full receipts, especially on a 2012 with 138,000 miles on it, if they don't have receipts, I wouldn't even touch it because it's going to be a money pit, I guarantee it. So I am the second owner of this Range Rover, and we have over, and I have a spreadsheet here, and I total everything. There are over $39,000 worth of receipts in this thing, in this folder. Now, most of it was covered under the warranty, and since I bought it, I've done pretty much all the work and maintenance myself. Now, the only thing that I've had to take to the shop to get done is when I blew out my high pressure fuel pump. That was $3,800 for the fuel pump. But they also replaced the fuel injectors as well. But everything else was done under warranty. So, and in fact, when I bought it, I also purchased like a third-party warranty for this thing as well, just to cover me. And I actually had to use it on my rear differential. So beware, I wouldn't buy a used Range Rover unless they have a detailed book like this of all the receipts and go through it. In fact, most of the suspension stuff and the radio and AC, they had to replace at the dealership. Crazy, right? Okay, and back here is the DVD player, and this is where your computer is located as well. And this is your DVD tray. I love it. You don't find vehicles nowadays with DVDs because DVDs are pretty much obsolete. And there's more stuff in this right here, and under here. Let me move this here. Under here, because it's an autobiography, you get a full-size spare tire. And then under the spare tire is actually your air suspension pump. Compressor is under that spare tire and under that metal box that's protecting the compressor. But yeah, this is brand new Michelin. Pretty nice. Okay, let's look under the hood here. I want to show you, well, there's not much to look at because you got this big old cover that's covering the engine, and this is their V8, 5-liter V8 Torquey, and I believe the gear ratio is 383. It could be more, I can't quite remember right now. But what I can tell you is that this thing can, if I have this in 4 low, I can climb up a pretty steep hill without even giving any gas. It can basically ghost it up the hill. But this is pretty impressive, and this whole engine is pretty tight. This big engine covers from inch to inch on both sides, and it's very difficult to work on. So if you're going to buy a Range Rover with the V8 supercharger, I recommend you have a deep pocket, or you're a mechanic and you know what you're doing. Okay, so with the car on, now we can take advantage and take a look at some of the train system here. So you can go into like snow mode, for example, and you got this really cool interface. Let me clear some of these things off my dash. So you got this really cool interface here. So you can go into like, what does that say? Mud, low range recommended, sand, and rock crawl. And all these features, they do something just a little bit, but you know, it's very complicated. And if you're not really an off-roader, I recommend, you know, just using these buttons as it says. So if you're in the mud, use mud and ruts. If you're in the sand, use the sand. But I got a couple of videos out there on how you ought to use this train system, and I'll put a link up here on the upper right hand corner of the screen that you can click on. But you can see 2 green light there, looks like a lock on the center differential and the rear. The way that these Range Rover works is that you can't lock the center. So in most off-road, normal off-road, when you put it in 4 low, the center differential generally locks, okay? And I'm not gonna go into depth about that, but the way that these Range Rover works is that it will automatically lock or unlock depending on the wheel spin. So that's how that works. And there's also a display on here. You have a 4x4 system that controls your suspension height. You can, you know, raise it up pretty high, and it's pretty impressive. You can also buy like an aftermarket lift kits for these things. They're just little attachments you put on the sensors, and I bought one for $80, and that gives you additional 2.5-inch lift, and that makes a pretty significant difference. Okay, so that's how these things work. You can also do cruise control, like going downhill. You can set the speed. It's very intuitive, and there's a lot of videos on YouTube you guys can watch about that. But if you guys are looking for a really good like overlander and just something that's super capable, then this Range Rover, I wouldn't hesitate to take this on any a normal off-road trail. That's not like rock crawling. Okay, so now in this part of the video, I want to share with you guys some of the things that I don't like about this Range Rover. There's not very many. So one is you can't have air blowing on your windshield and on your face at the same time. You got to pick one or the other. Let me show you here. And let me know if I'm doing this wrong, you guys. So if I'm driving up in the snow, which we do quite a bit, I usually hit the defrost button right here, okay? And all the air goes up to the defrost. You can hear it. But if my wife is cold and she wants some heat on the floor, she pushes this button right here. It turns off my defrost, okay? But my windshield heater is still on. Oh, that's one thing I didn't mention to you guys. It might be really hard to see, but the front windshield has elements in here. It's like a defroster, just like the rear view glass. It has elements in the front glass, so it defrosts it. So again, I can't have air on my feet and the defrost at the same time. See that? It's a real bummer. And I've tried everything. Anytime you push these buttons, it deactivates the defrost. So that's kind of a bummer, because in the wintertime I like to keep my feet warm, but also keep my windshield, defrosted. The number two thing that I don't like about my Range Rover is this engine. It is so loud. I've had a lot of V8s in my life, and this has got to be the loudest V8 engine I have ever heard. But the good thing is, when you're inside the cab here, it's very quiet. You don't hear it very much. But if you step outside, yeah, it sounds like a tank. It's very, very loud. So the number three thing that I don't like about this Range Rover is actually the way it drives when you're going around like curvy roads. If you're going on from here to LA, it's freaking the most comfortable vehicle you will ever drive in your life. I promise you. But once you start hitting corners and curves, this thing rocks like a canoe in the ocean. It's very bad. I hate it. My wife hates it. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that when I bought this. I thought it'd be a little bit more stable, that the air suspension would be a little bit more responsive, but it's not. And what would be really cool is if they added modes like sports, for example, or comfort, or whatever, just to help stiffen up that suspension, because it's very soft as you go around corners. So this is a great feature that I really love about this Range Rover. It's got the air suspension. So right now it's at the access height. So when you go home or you pull up to a restaurant, you can lower it all the way down to what you see right here. Now if I want to bring it up, it's going to come up to what's called a normal ride height. And this is what the height is when you're driving down the highway. Once you reach, I believe 20 miles an hour, it's going to raise up to the normal ride height automatically. And there's actually one more setting beyond this right here. So what it does is that if you were to get high centered, if you're off-roading, let's say like on a big rut and all four tires are spinning, there's another setting that's called extended mode, which you can't switch inside your vehicle, not that I know of, but the system will see that your all four wheels are spinning. So then it will raise the vehicle another 2 inches. Okay, now I saved the best for last. Now this is the reason why I love Range Rovers, is because of this split rear gate. We use this thing so often when we go to the beach or to the snow, and just being able to sit down in the back of your rig and put your ski boots on, your snowboard boots on, or just sit back here and have a picnic. And if it's raining out or whatever, you got a little sunshade or a rain shade right here, and it's pretty cool. So not very many cars offer this other than a Land Cruiser and a Range Rover. I'm not gonna lie, there are some moments where, when I turn the ignition on, man, I'm thinking about a little bit of gas and reliability, because that's just the wrap that it has. It's kind of like a pit bull. When you see a pit bull walking towards you as you're walking down the street with maybe your kid, it's just a stereotype that the pit bull has an aggressive, demeanor. Well, kind of same thing with Range Rovers, and they never really went away with Range Rovers. But you know, that goes with a lot of cars today. Even the brand new Fords, Chevys, the Hondas and Toyotas, they all have engine issues. It's just a matter of what you're comfortable with, and you know, and the maintenance is the big thing. So all the the years that I've owned this thing, I really haven't had a whole lot of major issues that I couldn't do myself. And the only time I had to go to the shop was for that high pressure fuel pump. But other than that, you know, it's not that bad. The other bad rap that this thing gets is it gets a horrible gas mileage. Well, yeah, I mean, if you were to go buy, let's say a 4Runner, for example, I think they average around 16 miles per gallon. F-150, the big trucks, a full-size truck, you're looking at maybe 18, 19 mpg, and this is, you know, this thing has way more horsepower than a 4Runner and most full-size truck. This is a supercharged V8 with over 500 foot-pounds of torque and horsepower. That's way more than, you know, I think right around maybe a little bit better than the Ford EcoBoost, and twice as much as a 4Runner. So yeah, you're gonna, you know, suck down the gas, but you don't buy these things because for those things. You buy it because you love these little quirky things about a Range Rover. They're kind of unique. It has a status symbol, if you will, and it's super luxurious, and it's well worth the money if you have the money to buy one of these yourselves. And that's really what you want, is when you're buying any kind of used car, it doesn't matter what model brand you're buying, make sure you guys have a full pack of receipt, especially if you're buying cars that's got almost 100,000 miles on it. And the bad thing about buying cars at a dealership is that they throw away all the receipts. They'll tell you to go on Carfax. Well, Carfax don't tell the whole story. Not everybody takes their car to a place that's Carfax certified, so some of those things don't get recorded. You might do a lot of work yourself. Those things don't go on Carfax. So Carfax tells you a small story, but not the whole story. So that's why when I'm buying a used car, I really prefer buying it from a private seller. I would pay literally $5,000 more knowing the history of a car than have no history. I mean, honestly, what would you choose if you were buying a Range Rover? Exactly. If you guys are looking for a really fun vehicle that's kind of unique and fun to drive and luxurious, well, I would definitely recommend a Range Rover. But make sure you guys have a deep pocket. Oh, and by the way, I will keep you guys updated on that damage on the side there, whether or not the insurance company is going to total this thing. So you guys let me know, should I just buy it back from the insurance if they total it, or should I just get rid of it and get a new one? I don't know. So with that being said, we'll see you guys in the next video, and thanks for watching.